You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Tuesday night here, Lucha Central. Don't forget, check out all the shows at Lucha Central. But you're here live at WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo. Got a huge show coming up. Going to be talking to DJ VOZ at about the 15-minute mark. And then, of course, Jovany Varela himself at the 45-minute mark. But on the line with me right now, my co-host that's going to be co-hosting with me, the 1,000% knockout herself, Nicolette. Nicolette, how are you, my friend? Talk a little bit about Denise Salgado.
I know Denise from, she's also very, in my opinion, Twitter famous. She has a very great sense of fashion. This girl can throw together an amazing outfit super quick. I feel like if I was to throw something together like that, people would be like, Nicolette, we didn't tell you we were going horse riding today. Like, this girl throw on some boots and, like, looks super cute. So I know her from that. And then, yeah, I know her from EWF. I went to a few shows when they were running in, that wasn't Baldwin Park. I feel like it was somewhere else. And I know they ran out in the Valley, too, and she announced a couple of your matches.
Talk a little bit about the Lucha Expo. I got to tell you, not just because, I'm actually working for Lucha Central now, and, Kevin Kleinrock is always busy. I mean, that man is always, like, he'll call me right away and say, hey, man, make sure you mention Spotify, and make sure you mention, iTunes and all that so he can get the ratings, so he can keep everybody up to date, make sure. But, we went to the first Lucha Expo, which was cool. I mean, I seriously had like one of the, I've been doing this for a long time, but I had such a good time there because if you could explain to the people, that it's kind of like an indie show where the guys are at their tables and they're selling their merch and all that. But, once they get that line down, they're pretty much kind of there. And you could talk for, for a good example was Psycho Clown. That dude had when he first walked in, you remember he had a huge line. It was about, I would say anywhere from 40 people deep, maybe a little bit more. And he got through that whole line. And once he was done with that line, he still had probably a good half hour left. So we were able to go up and talk to him for a while or whatever. So, and then we went to the one in San Diego. So real quick, before we get into talking to DJ VOZ and stuff like that, talk a little bit about that. Cause the next one is supposed to be in Philadelphia. I believe Kevin said it's going to be next year, June of 2021. Now, I think it's going to be a little bit different in Philly. I'm not too sure about the Lucha fans that are out there, but real quick, what do you think about that? You think that's a good choice, Philadelphia, or just since you were at the last two?
Oh, I think anywhere that they put Lucha Expo, if they put it in an alley, I would go. There's like rules about Lucha Expo. One, you do not sleep. Don't blink an eye because you will miss something. I mean, you will miss a match. You will miss a meet and greet. You will miss merch. There is so much you will miss. And two, make sure that you pay off all of your credit card bills and you take every credit card you own and cash and you have a PayPal account because there is so much merch at one point that you can get your hands on that it is so important. Yeah, for everybody listening, Fabi and I went to the one in Vegas. Fabi and I split the drive up there, and Fabi said, I'm going to go upstairs for a bit. If you want to hang out here with your friends, you can, no big deal. And I think within 5 minutes, I'm like, Bobby, you got to get down here. And then there was like no phone service or something like that. And I'm trying to like run back up the stairs. And then the elevator was so crowded, it was like a fire hazard to take it. So I'm running up and down stairs and I'm trying to be safe. And I'm thinking, and I'm pounding on the door. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, you've got to get downstairs. Like, I'll try to be there as fast as I can. I'm like, oh, well, match is already over. I think that one was Solar Jr., Bestia, and Damien. Oh, my God. Well, good match. Yeah.
Well, what had happened was there was like 2 or 3 different conventions going on. There was like a big Filipino homecoming. And then I can't remember, the guys with those fez tops or whatever. So this is what happened. I think you were talking to Chris Bay. And you go, hey, I'm going to go get some coffee. Do you want anything? And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to go up to the room. I'm going to just rest for a little bit. And I'm going to come back because I wanted to see the Lucha Brothers. And they were going to come on to like about 11 o'clock at night. And I was dying. So I went up there and I was just going to rest. And I ended up falling asleep. And the phone rings. And Nicolette goes, dude, you got to get down here. It's Bestia and Damien against Solar and Solar Jr. And I'm like, yes. So I take off, and this is the God's honest truth. I literally had to wait probably close to 15 minutes for an elevator because there was so many people that it kept getting packed. So finally I ended up taking the stairs, and I ended up in the back, like receiving area where the food comes in. So by the time I got to the venue, it was already finished. And then to make it worse, Nicolette's like, dude, that was the best match ever, dude. You missed it. So I almost started crying, but I didn't. I was able to keep it together. But that's why I went to take a nap, because it ran till, I think it was close to midnight before everything on the first day the matches were over. But it was well worth it.
Hey, and Fabi.
Yeah.
Also, too, can we give Chris Bay a huge shout out too for everything that he's been doing on Impact? Also, I know that Denise did an interview with him. I don't know if it was on Skype or on Zoom, but if everybody wants to go check out that interview, I watched it. It was amazing. She did an interview with Chris Bay as well.
Yeah, I did some live stuff with him that at the Lucha Expo too. I got him. I got Brody King. Hopefully I still have it in my my recorders. If I do, I'll try to upload that. But that's what I'm talking about. I see Chris Bay. I'm like, hey, dude, let me get you on there for a little while. And we talked about future stars of wrestling and helping put the ring together that day and all that. It was really cool. So we're going to talk a little bit more. Go ahead.
It's so amazing to see these wrestlers that always stay down and stay humble, and keep in contact with everybody that they kind of left behind in a way. And Sean put out a post the other day. Sean Black put out a post for Chris Bay, and he was like, hey, he's solid dude, Chris Bay, And I messaged Sean back, and I said, yeah, I said, Chris Bay's always been cool. And funny story about Chris Bay. So, yes, I always told Sean always posted how important it is to hang out with your friends and to never say, oh, I'm too busy, blah, blah, blah. Chris Bay and I went to Starbucks during that time at Lucha Expo, and this dude talked from the time we left till the time we got there. And I'm like, okay, but you know what, though? I don't regret it, because, look, now he's gone to Impact. Maybe I would never get that time, And so, anyways, Chris Bay posted this thing 3 weeks ago about Q&A. And people are like, hey, Chris Bay, what's your favorite color? Chris Bay, congratulations, Impact. Congratulations on the belt, blah, blah, blah. And then I write in, when are you going to bring back your offset hairstyle? And he writes back, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, no, remember you tied your hair up like Offset in the Clout music video? And he goes, yeah, I've had my hair like this for 9 years. And I said, okay, well, the 9th year I recognized it.
Oh, so
Chris Bay is so cool. Yeah, I think so, yeah. And you can see that happening too, huh?
Well, look, if anybody who could go practice and do a moonsault off the top rope and it breaks, and still be alive to this day, because I think it just happened, and that's what we're talking about. I was like, dude, I thought you were dead. And he's like, no, and he's talking, and then you guys went to go get the coffee, and he came back. He was still talking, because he was talking about selling his used gear or whatever.
His tattoo artist.
He didn't even take one breath or whatever. But hey, he's doing well, and they say what you put into it is what you get out of it. And he was always working. He was working with Sean Bodai, who's very wise to the business. I compare him and Joseph, because they're very smart-minded as far as the business goes.
And Fabi, you and I knew Chris Bay back from the Young Guns days at PCW. In a
PCW.
Yard, in Iguana Kelly.
Yeah, man, we got to get him on here so we can talk about that, because that was funny. That was when they had the Young Guns at Iguana Kelly's in Long Beach. I was a week or 2 weeks away from having my right hip done, and there was no seats. And Biggie Big tells Joseph, "Hey man, you gotta give Fabi a chair, man. He ain't gonna make it." So he did. But the funniest part was Chris Bay's family, because I guess they all came from wherever he's from or whatever, and they were, I think, in front of us or just to the left of us, and all I came, "Ooh, that's my baby, and getting mad when did he wrestle Douglas James on that show?
No, he did not wrestle Douglas James wrestled B-Boy. I'm not sure who Chris Bay wrestled. Oh gosh, I'll have to go back and look at the videos. But I know that even somebody from his family said, if you hit him one more time, I'm gonna get up out of my seat. And I thought, oh man, here we go. Yeah. No.
The whole family's about to get out of the seat. Hey, great show, by the way. But anyways, real quick, got to get to DJ VOZ. So we'll be bringing him. Nicolette's going to hang with me through the whole show, which is cool because we got so much going on. But first, before we get to DJ VOZ, let's hear what Denise Salcedo has to say. I say Salcedo, Salgado. I got to make sure I get it right, because she's going to go, hey, man, get my stuff right. I got your name right at EWF. And let's see what she has to talk about what's coming up on Lucha Central. We'll be right back with DJ VOZ.
Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo here in Lucha Central, where they look at all of the great shows available this week on the Lucha Central Podcast Network. Monday, it's a brand new masked cast with Dos Hermanos Lucha. The brothers are back with their latest advice on how to build the ultimate Lucha Libre mask collection, including what Facebook groups can really help you up your game. Tuesday, it's Masks, Mats, and Mayhem, the show that brings you back into and behind the scenes of Lucha Underground. This week on the show, more behind-the-scenes secrets are revealed from two of the show's Day One luchadores. Plus, the gang discusses the current success of former Lucha Underground stars Karrion Kross and El Hijo del Fantasma, and takes a look back at Season 1, Episode 6. Plus, this Friday, look for a bonus episode of the MMM show focused on Pride Month, including a special interview with former Lucha Underground and current AEW star Sunny Kiss. Also on Tuesday, brand new series WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo debuts on its regular night with a live call-in show covering pro wrestling and MMA from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Then, each Wednesday, the show will be available for download on podcast platforms. The first episode is up now and features interviews with former CMLL, Ring of Honor, and Lucha Underground star Ricky Reyes, Bellator fighter Rick Hahn, and Combate America SVP Mike Aframowitz. This week's guests will include former XPW and Wrestling Society X star and current owner and operator of the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, Joey Chaos. With SPW graduates in nearly every major promotion at this point, there is a lot to talk about. Don't miss WrestleBoss Live on Tuesday night and in podcast format on Wednesday. We've also got more live recordings for you on Wednesday as Spanish series La Mesa de los Márgaros brings you their unique style of news and comedy along with special guests. Watch as they record their episode on Facebook Live and then download the episode Thursdays. Also on Thursday, it's Straight Out of the Bodega with Papo Esco with special guests PWR Training Academy graduate and AEW star Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Papo and Gabe talk with Jack about his training at the Academy, his time in the NorCal indie scene, and his signing with AEW. On Friday, we've got the #1 Lucha Libre show on the U.S. charts, Lucha Central Weekly, and the #1 show wrestling-related, period, on the Mexico iTunes wrestling charts. Lucha Central Weekly en Español, with Lucha Libre slowly returning to Mexico and shows this past weekend from both DTU and IWRG, plus luchadores all over WWE programming these days. We've got 2 packed shows for you. Be sure to subscribe and follow all of your favorite Lucha Central Network series on your favorite podcast platforms. And please be sure to give a rating and review to help more fans find the shows that you love. For now, this is Denise Salcedo signing off from Lucha Central Central. Have a great week.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. Denise Salcedo. Okay, not Delgado, Del Rio. It's Denise Salcedo. I don't know why, for some reason, I'm already into my 3rd or 4th show here, and I haven't got it right, but that's Denise Salcedo, so make sure, you check her out. Hey, I follow her now on Twitter, and she talks a lot about pizza, because she's like a big-time pizza lover, so maybe I could get her and Douglas James on at the same time, and because that's all they talk about is pizza. But for the people listeners, you're here, you're live at WrestleBoss. We're going to call DJ VOZ in just a second, but I got 1,000% knockout Nicolette here with me. I'm going to bring him on, Nicolette, and then we're going to talk a little bit because we talk a lot about what people put into certain shows and stuff like that. And he was actually at the second Lucha Expo that was over in San Diego. So let me give him a call. We'll get him on the line, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Remember they brought us the totis and all that stuff?
Yes, the people downstairs.
Yeah. Totis. Good Lord, I hope I have the right number.
Hello?
Hey, DJ VOZ, it's Fabiano. You're live on the air. Can you hear me, my friend?
I can hear you loud and clear, my brother. How are you?
I'm good. For the people listeners, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo, and we're live with DJ VOZ, and I got DJ VOZ, and I got 1,000% knockout Nicolette with me. She's going to be hanging with me for the whole show. So real quick before we get into talking to DJ VOZ, Nicolette, say hi to DJ VOZ.
Hi, DJ VOZ. How are you? Do you remember me? I'm Fabi's daughter from Lucha Expo.
Absolutely.
Cool.
It's funny because when I try to, as soon as I get the guests locked in, I try to put it out there so that the people, they know who I have on, and they can usually send messages and stuff like that. But it's when I have the wrestlers on, but when I have DJ VOZ, I get a lot of messages and emails and stuff because of the success. So I had a couple of different people say, "Hey man, ask him how he got started in the business and how it's so successful, because a lot of his shows are slamming. He has top-notch wrestlers. Like I'm a big Black Taros fan. I mean, I think that guy's awesome, and you put him on quite a bit. So before we get into that, this is what I was telling Nicolette before we went on air, or even a little bit when we're on. You know, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I said, I see DJ VOZ everywhere. The dude is constantly working. So when we went to the Lucha Expo, the second one that was in San Diego, first person I saw, DJ VOZ, and he's everywhere. I mean, I was getting blown up just watching, because he's walking over here and he's talking to this dude, and he brought 2 wrestlers from Arizona, so he's talking to them, and he's just like all over the place. And then what sets him apart is he came, you know, to me, and I saw him. I said, "Hey, what's up?" And he said, "Hey, what's going?" I said, "Well, come on, yeah, man, let's do, you know, 30-second spot." Or I said, "Well, let's do a full interview." All right, that's it. So he came on, made sure that he got all his information out on the live broadcast, because we were up high. We were the only ones on the second floor. So he came up, and we did that. And that's what I was telling Nicolette. I said, that's why he works. You know, he works at it and makes sure that. And what we were talking about over there at the expo was, I said, you know, most of my audience is mixed martial arts, but they let me mix in the luchas and stuff as long as I can bring it around. And he said, look, if I come on your show and 20 people hear it and 2 people buy tickets, he goes, that's 2 people who I didn't have. He said, so that's why I do it. And I'm like, this guy's freaking genius. This is what I'm talking about. So, you know, with all that being said, talk a little bit about that, because I have a couple of friends who want to get started in the business. And I'm like, you know, just be prepared, because it's not, you don't just go rent a ring and do a show. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. So talk a little bit about what got you interested in doing the show. I know you're DJing and stuff like that, and that's a big part of it, and how it came to be so successful that like you are now.
Well, it's all based on sacrifice, right? When I first started, it was I was a DJ for the Lucha, right? I started off with a small promotion, local promotion, and I was a DJ for the Lucha. I had the opportunity to buy the equipment out of that promotion that was selling it out. Some pretty old beat up equipment, right? And I went ahead and jumped on the opportunity, did the investment. And then actually, I said that it requires a lot of sacrifice, because the first thing, if I could go back and change something, it's start from the inside out. As a promoter organizer, I don't consider myself a promoter. I'm more like a producer, right? I produce the show, I produce the entertainment. Right. As the word promoter, it entitles everyone. The wrestlers have to promote. I have to promote. The guy that is put in the chairs have to promote. The guy put in the ring has to promote. The guy that is in the venue has to promote. My friends have to promote. And you know, everybody has to promote. So, and that is in any business. See, if you're starting a business, a real business, you have to promote, and everybody has to promote. Now, producing the show comes to a total different thing. I'm very special, and I have very high standards for everything we do, especially on the quality of the wrestling, the show organization, everything. But it didn't always start like this, right? Like I started off and I didn't know much about wrestling business, and I had to learn the hard way. It was a full first year of sacrifice of doing shows. There was times where we only had about 5 paid customers on the audience, and everybody else was the wrestlers' families, and I didn't stop. You know, at that time we were doing shows every single week, and I was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. Now, what I did is I went back and actually started training with the wrestlers. I started training with the wrestlers so I could understand more their craft and what is it that they were doing. And I've done wrestling before, but never lucha libre, right? So it took me a while to get used to it. I trained with the wrestlers, and then I stepped up to going full training every single day, because I used to require my wrestlers, whoever doesn't train doesn't get put on the card. So I was the first one in and the last one out, and I was the first one up there and the last one out, even though, you know, they would use me as a dummy, right?
Trading.
yeah. I was the one that would slam around, but you know, it was more about the psychological effect. And eventually, we started building I started making better decisions with talent, knowing what to expect from talent, what to require from the talent, especially when you bring big names. And if you don't know how to arrange them to people that are actually going to work them, you're just wasting your money, you know. And another one is having a business plan. You gotta have a business plan. You gotta have strategy. You gotta have, you know, a little bit of everything. What I did, and I would recommend everybody for doing, is for your promotion organization, whatever you want to call it, develop an identity. For example, we have developed an identity with Lucha VOZ that it doesn't matter who we even have in the roster. We're always going to have some audience because it's kind of like AAA, New Japan. I'm not putting myself at that level, but they develop an identity, right? You know that specific organization, that specific show is going to offer a certain level of quality, and that's what you follow, right? So you a lot of times what I started doing, and I wouldn't even put wrestlers on the flyer. I would just put Lucha VOZ, Sunday 3 p.m. at this place, and we will get 200 people.
Yeah,
no wrestlers on the poster.
Because you've established, you know, like you said, a certain level, and they know that's what I'm talking about. People work hard for their money, and to get them to buy a ticket, they want to go to a show, and when they see that show, they go, dude, they see their friends, hey man, you got to go check out the show. I mean, it was slamming. We had a good time, and like family atmosphere has a lot to do with it too, because everybody has kids. So they want to take the kids, and so this is what I'm telling them. It's not just, you know, that. And when you're talking about training with the wrestlers and working and stuff like that, that's got a lot to do with it too, because now you have the mind. Look, if I put Black Tarus with Mil Muertes, that's going to blow the roof off the place. Or if I put this guy with this guy, that's going to be a great opener or whatever. So this is what I'm talking about when I say what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Now, unfortunately, we're going through a little bit of a pandemic, and it's kind of because I have a show that's on the hook right now. It's ready to go. Everything's done and ready to go. I was supposed to be July 11th. I had to push it back to the end of August, and now we don't even know if we're going to be able to make it to the end of August. So you yourself, who I think you just had to postpone a show for July 2, you know?
Yeah, July 19th. Actually, we had one of our biggest projects, which is we're working on a production, right? Like now we're switching from live shows to streaming media, and the reason is if you want to survive, you gotta adapt to what's gonna come. This pandemic ain't gonna go nowhere. People are trying to do shows with 20% capacity, 25% capacity. When you got an overhead of $3,000 and just cost, right? And the venue only hosts 200 people, and you can only get 25% of that or 50% of that. 100 people, you will have to sell tickets like at $80 or $70 to be able to cover the cost, right? Now here's another thing for people that want to do shows, and this is the way I do the math, right? If I'm going to do a show, I'm going to put in 50 hours. How much am I going to pay myself? How much is my time worth, right? Because if I'm going to put a show, 50 hours of work, and I'm only going to make enough to cover the show, I would have made more money working at McDonald's.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It makes sense because well, real quick before we can you hang on for just? I got to take a quick commercial. Can you hang on for just like 2 minutes?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, hang on. We'll be right back with DJ VOZ after this. Hang on, everybody.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Okay, I had to stop that one because for some reason it wasn't coming out like it was supposed to. But real quick for the people listening to us, we're here. We're at WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo, and I got 1,000% knockout Nicolette hanging with me. We're talking to Lucha, DJ VOZ, talking about running some Lucha shows, and especially with all this COVID and everything going on. So with all that being said, are you still there, DJ? I've just got to make sure you're still on the line with us.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you now. Nicolette, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Bobby, and when you're done, I have one question and one statement for DJ VOZ, too. Go ahead, you can go first, though.
Go ahead. You can ask him your question because I want to talk to him about Vampiro.
I thought it was really amazing, too, when you said that you stepped inside the ring. And because I only thought that you were a promoter and a DJ. I did not know that. That's amazing. That totally shows so much respect. I know that a lot of people, and I know more than a lot of people, and Fabi, you've agreed with me too, how Joe Rogan will go out there and say, oh, these UFC fighters, I would have did this, I would have put them in a chokehold. And they're like, Joe, you have never got in the octagon, so how can you talk? So that's really cool. For me, too, when I recently...
Yeah, they get on him about that because they say, you can commentate and say, but you shouldn't say he should have or done this or done that or whatever. So, but when you're coming from that side of it, where you've actually taken a bump and see what it's like or whatever, then you know, which earns you the respect of the people that you're booking and they know what's up and all. Because I follow DJ VOZ on his social media, and he's constantly training. He's constantly in the weight room, and because. When we're talking at the Lucha Expo, he's like, man, I can't, if I come out there and I'm sloppy and I'm overweight, people don't take you serious. He goes, but if I'm in shape and I'm dressed nice or whatever, people take you more serious, because you're a businessman and they kind of see. So, that's what I'm talking about when I was saying how what he puts into it is what he gets out of it. But before, because I'm running up against the clock, real quick, I saw on your flyer that unfortunately on the show that you had to postpone that you had Vampiro on the card. Can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with him, and then I'll tell you about my relationship with him.
So Vampiro is a controversial human being, right? Overall, 360. Some people love him, some people hate him. Vampiro Canadiense, whatever you want to admit it or not, he's a living legend. And the story with Vampiro, I met him a couple of times at Expo Lucha and everything. And he loved the lucha that Lucha VOZ put up on the last Expo Lucha in 2019. He came out and he greeted us. He said that was a really good job, and he liked the work that the guys did up there in the ring. When this is happening right before COVID-19 or during COVID-19 when it just started, I'm thinking, wow, this is really going to change the game. It's either going to make us or it's going to break us. This is like, everything stopped, right? It still stopped. And I was like, well, I got to find a way, right? I got to find a way to evolve. I got to find a way to take it to the next level. I got to find a way to do different projects that they're still happening. They're coming up. We have something big on the oven. And that's where Vampiro comes in. I email Vampiro directly, right? Through a friend of mine. I email Vampiro, and I'm super humble. And I'm like, hey, Vampiro, how you doing? I met you a couple of times. I just want to tell you that I'm looking for somebody that knows way more than me in this business that can help me take this project to the next level, that I can work together. I need a mentor. I need a mentor when it comes to the wrestling business because I've been evolving, I've been growing, but it comes to a point where, and if you want to step it to the next level, you gotta be willing to learn from those that are at the next level. Vampiro wasn't doing anything in wrestling. He had literally got on AAA. He was in Canada. He was recovering from his personal issues and everything that he's got going on. And I called him, and as soon as I emailed him, he sends me a text back. He's like, call me now. or like that. Like, he just super humble. I talked to him and I send him like all the material that we have, the video, the shows, the cards, and he replies to me back like within seconds. And in the next 10 minutes, we were on the phone. We started talking. He's super cool with me. He's helping me a lot. And he's very interested on the Lucha VOZ concept. He's got a lot of ideas, and he's coming in as a mentor for me. Number one, as a mentor for me and the company, right? And just him being involved, he took the company to another level. When I put out that flyer that Vampiro was going to be there, even though I've been bringing what they called A cards, right? I've been bringing A cards with like all superstar roster. Once I put Vampiro in there, he just tripled. Yeah. He just tripled in audience. We actually had 2,000 people subscribed to see the live on YouTube from Mexico and the United States and other parts of the world within 3 weeks of just letting the event sit there on Facebook. About 2,000 people had subscribed to see the the stream for that show.
Yeah, and like you said, that takes it to another level. People are like, oh, because they know he's established AAA, Lucha Underground, and also he sees, okay, now he's really going to keep going and keep moving it up. But let me tell you a quick story about Vampiro, because I actually I put it on my Facebook a long time ago. I still have it. I'm going to put it up there. I was working for Kiss and Charisma out here in LA, and I used to have a partner named the Bronx Bomber, and a big garrote guy, and Perro Russo was working. He lived in TJ. I think he lived in Tijuana, but he was doing a show out here with us, whatever. So it was us three against Vampiro and Kiss and Charisma, whatever. And this was the first time, I had met him, and I was gonna work with them. So, South Central LA has a little bit of a reputation or whatever. So my partner, who's a African American guy, but he's huge. I mean, he's big, garrote, and Perro Russo, big muscular dude, and also. We go out there and we say, oh, whatever. So we go out there and the first, because I'm trying to get over. I mean, I'm still pretty young in the business or whatever. I've been working for a while. So I walk up to him when we're all six of us are in the ring, and I look at him in his face and I go, you know where you are, punk? I go, you're in the jungle. I go, you're gonna die. And he looked at me like that, and I pushed him, and he pushed me back. And when he pushed me back, I took the bump. And because he was looking, so we finished the match and everything. He walks, he comes up to me, he goes, what's wrong with you, man? I go, what do you mean? He goes, at first I didn't know what was going on. He goes, because you have this look in your eye, and you're like, you know where you are? You're in the jungle, and you're going to die. He goes, and then I look at this big old dude on my right, and this other big old dude on my right. He goes, I thought they set me up. I thought I was kidding. He goes, but luckily after I pushed you and you took the bump, I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. So that's not the end of it. So we did the show in L.A., then we drove to Tijuana and did a show at the Auditorio. That was Friday night. We did the show over there at the Auditorio, and that's what I have footage from. It was, and they were giving me such a push because it was us again, Perruso and Bomber against Vampiro, Super Porky, and Tinieblas Senior. So we did our thing and everything, and the dude totally worked with me. I mean, he really, put me over and shined me up and all that. So that's how come I always thank him when I see him and all that. So anyways, we do the show. We're going to do Saturday night in Ensenada and then drive all the way to Puerto Peñasco for a Sunday show. So we finish the show in TJ. We head out to Ensenada. We get to Ensenada. We get to the hotel. We go to sleep. Wake up the next morning, and the next day in the paper, I think it might have been the Alarma or whatever, I can't remember for sure, but they had shot up the whole Revolucion Boulevard. I mean, they just completely shot it up, and they shot like two clergymen, like priests or whatever. So I go to this and I go, hey man, they shut up the whole thing and we were just there or whatever. So Kiz looks at me and he looks at Vampiro and he goes, nah man, he goes, they don't shoot the wrestlers, they just shoot the regular people. And Vampiro looks at Kiss and he goes, hey man, you don't have a card that says you're a wrestler and they give you a pass? He goes, what's wrong with you? He goes, no, don't worry about whether. So this is the God's honest truth. I got so scared, I didn't even go to Puerto Peñasco. I did the show in Ensenada and I went home. And Bomber and Perruso went on to Puerto Peñasco, but I didn't go because I was like, dude, if they're shooting. And then, you know what? Vampiro was like, man, it happens all the time. Don't worry about it. And all that. I'm like, nah, man, you guys are crazy. I'm going home. So I went home. So I saw him a couple of more times after that, but then I saw him at the first Lucha Expo. And as soon as I saw him, I had a shirt for him. What do you call it? Ribera Steakhouse,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And he goes, these kids don't, and he sees me and he goes, hey, bro, you still okay after what happened over there in jail? That's like 20 years ago, but he still remembers. But that's the point I'm trying to make is he was really, because back then they didn't like the younger guys and people were worried about people taking their shine. Not the case, man. I mean, he really worked with me and helped me a lot. So I really appreciate it. But that just goes to show you, that when you bring him in, like you're saying, it just takes your show to another level. You get more people to notice and all that, and it makes a huge difference. But anyways, I'm sorry. I had to rattle on about that because that was probably one of the best times I ever had when somebody actually took care of me. So hopefully, hopefully we can make our way. Now that I'm working with Lucha Central and working with Kevin Kleinrock, because that dude works really super hard. Maybe we can.
Yeah, I love those guys, man.
Yeah, man, they really put a lot into it. So hopefully we can head out to Arizona and check out one of the shows.
I love Kevin too.
Yeah. So real quick real quick before we get out of here, give us I know DJ VOZ is your social media for Facebook. You got any other social media so that people can check you out?
You can find me on TikTok now. I eventually gave in into TikTok, and now they're trying to ban it, which is sucks. Because I restrained myself from doing TikTok all the way up to now. So you can find me at TikTok at the DJ VOZ. My Instagram at the DJ VOZ.
Did you do the Gooba dance?
No, not yet. Actually, you know what? I use TikTok to actually voice my real
your opinion.
Me. Yeah,
okay.
my real me. For example, I'm gonna do a TikTok and just do like, hey, you know what? If you're gonna make a video, make sure you say something worth saying later.
Okay.
But it's fun. It's fun.
Well, but people like not make fun of it, but people are like, oh, your Facebook and your TikTok. But so many people see it and they reach it. So, we use it as a vehicle to get it out there. So I for one, can appreciate it. I see how hard you work and what you put into it. But, the proof is there, man. If you go check out a DJ VOZ show, it's going to be slamming. So make sure you check them out. Hopefully, we'll be able to check out one of those shows because I'm telling you, man, I think Black Taurus is one of the most underrated wrestlers. I seen him and Mecha Wolf go, and I thought it was probably one of the hardcore lucha matches that I've ever seen. And just like he said, he sees them, and if I put this guy with this guy, it really works. So I can appreciate that. So for the people listeners, make sure you check out DJ VOZ on all his social media, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Okay, my friend?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the opportunity, my brother, and thank you very much to both of you. Okay?
Yeah, no
Absolutely.
problem. Stay safe.
Yeah, DJ VOZ, everybody. Make sure you check him out. We'll be right back.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
Yeah, Lucha Central, that's what I'm talking about. It's pretty cool because we do the show live, so if we want to take some call-ins, or whatever. But for the people listeners, don't forget, if you want to check it out, we're here every Tuesday from 7 to 8:30, WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo. If you want to call in, we're hoping to give away some stuff at about the 8 o'clock hour. So if you want to call in, it's area code 323-870-3387. If you follow the social media and check out those WrestleBoss shirts, man, that logo is slamming. 1000% Knockout Nicolette is with me. Talk a little bit about that, because I got the black and orange, and I think the black and pink, for some reason, is getting a little more looks than mine because, well, plus it's on you, so whatever. But I think we're even going to make one for Kevin's wife.
No, that does not work. No, that actually does not work. Do you remember when we did the high-risk T-shirts, and I did a T-shirt, I did a tank top, and then you were like, hey, can you make me a quarter sleeve? And I was like, oh, sure. And I made you quarter sleeves, and then yours blew up, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, fire flame emoji!" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm hot. Why isn't everybody looking at Favi?" And so sometimes Favi does better merch sales than me. But as far as the WrestleBoss shirts, I have made a few. Kevin owns the rights to those. I do not have those. I've made a few for Favi, for myself, for my mom. But there's a website that you guys can go to. I want to say that it's prowrestlingtees.com, but I'm not sure. Do you know what the correct?
You know what? I gotta get that from Kevin, because I don't know if he has it on there, or Mass Republic. Okay. So I gotta check with him.
So, quick spoiler alert, yes, we are going to do a giveaway at about 8 p.m., like Fabi did say. I'm going to post it right now on Facebook. It'll be somebody's choice between are we saving it, Fabi, or are we saying what it is now, or it's up to you?
No, I'm going to save it for the 8 o'clock hour, but it will be something that you will like, for sure.
Okay.
Hey, and if you've seen the T-shirts, man, they're slamming. But like I told Kevin, that's just a prototype. We wanted to get them out there so that people can follow WrestleBoss and all that. We gave away a bunch of buttons over the 4th of July weekend, because we were going to so many different places, which is pretty cool. Gets it out there. And the logo itself is cool, man, because that's, everybody talks about it. And it was, Kevin, he's like, hey, if I did, that's what I'm telling you, man. The man's got the mind for the business. That's why things are so successful. So hopefully we'll be getting some more of that out for sure. Because so far, all the people who we put it out there have liked it. So I got to get to Jovany Varela. So real quick, I'm going to take just a couple of real quick breaks, and then we're going to talk to Jovany Varela. So hang on, we'll be right back after this.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
It's funny because we're talking about Lucha Central, playing the spot for Lucha Central. But Nicolette, somebody who I want to get on the show, hopefully, because he's with the Lucha Central podcast, is Conan. So we saw Conan because for the people listeners, when we were at the Lucha Expo in San Diego, which was last year, we were way up high. We were on the second floor, which was cool because we could see down, the whole expo. You could see the wrestling from there and all that. It was pretty cool. But you have to walk up, to get there. And I think the elevator was broken on the second day or had went to capacity or something. I can't remember. So you had to take the stairs. So I tell Nicolette, go get Conan. Go tell Conan I want to get him on it. If he needs me to, I'll go to him. So take it from there, Nicolette. What happened when you walked up to Conan and told me Fabio wants to get him on the air?
So I went down to go see Conan, and I stood in line for a little while because there was a bunch of people that wanted to meet him, and he was sitting next to Selena De La Rente, who is a model for Ruda as well. And everybody wanted to see her, so they're kind of crowding around the table, and then he gets to me, and he's like, next. And then he doesn't recognize me, and I'm like, hi, Conan. I'm like, do you? I don't know if you know me. I'm like, but I'm Fabi's daughter. I'm like, Fabi's up there, and I'm pointing, and he's looking at the sky, and I'm like, no, he's up there, on the stairs. And then Fabi starts waving to him, and I'm like, do you remember him? And he's like, no, I don't know him. And I'm like, no, you used to wrestle with him back in the day. I'm like, you do know him. And he's like, oh, yeah, Fabi. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so he wants to do an interview with you. I'm like, do you want to go up there or do you want him to come down here? And he's like, tell him to come down here. And I'm like, okay, he's on his way. And I was like, can I get a picture with you? And he was like, yeah, sure. And then it's my mom took the picture. And it was this thing to struggle to get me around the table, and then we finally got over there, and I'm like, okay, he's on his way back down. And then Fabi kind of had trouble getting down there to do an interview with him because the table was so close to the ring. And then there were ring entrances and the announcing. Melissa Santos was doing the ring announcing, and then people were bumping. And then if it was a match with War Beast, they were taking it outside. There's fire going, Yeah.
So hopefully we can get him on here because that one was so loud because we're so close to the ring. But it was funny because we knew a lot of the same people, John Roberts and Johnny Bayoni, people from back in the day when we were all trying to get to the promised land. But anyway, so hopefully, quick service announcement, Kevin Kleinrock, help us out, man. See if we can get him on for a little while. Thanks. So let's get to Jovany Varela because I want to make sure I give him as much time as possible because first of all, he will judo throw me and I will be dead.
And Bobby, explain who Jovany is and who Monster is because I always get them mixed up.
Okay, I will as soon as he gets on.
Hello.
Hey, Jovany, it's Fabiano. You're live on WrestleBoss Live. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
It's beautiful. Real quick for the people listeners, you're at WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo, and we're going to be talking to Jovany Varela. I got 1,000% knockout Nicolette hanging with me. So before we start talking to Jovany, real quick, Nicolette, say hi to Jovany Varela.
Hey, Jovany, how are you doing? I remember you back from Gym Crashers when Fabi was doing the show.
Yeah, yes, I remember. How you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
We're doing good. It's not that it's funny, but, whenever, because when she mentioned that, I was working for, a different company at the time, and then we started we got the studio and everything, and we were doing Gym Crashers. So when we first start doing stuff like that, the first person I want to get on is Jovany, because he's, way back in the day when we first started, we're talking early 2000, the studio was right down the street from where Gokor's studio was. And my partner said, hey, you know, this Gokor guy's really, really awesome. You got to check him out, blah, blah. So we had him on. And I had no idea who Gokor was. And then when he came on, after we interviewed him, we definitely knew who he was. So as the years gone by, I finally got to meet Jovany, and we started talking, and we were talking because he was, trained with Gokor and all that. So, and I'm gonna be honest, this is why I have Jovany on, because he set me straight real quick. And first of all, Nicolette goes, okay, real quick, explain to me the difference between Jovany Varela and Monster Varela. And I go, well, Jovany's the dad. I said, Monster is the son. He's the one who helps out and teaches the classes, and he also represents Honduras in Sambo and stuff like that. So.
Oh, so then Jovany is the owner of the very nice Hummer truck. Is that true?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have good memory.
I know who it is. Okay.
That's how we know you. But anyways, I'm going to get into talking. I want to talk to Jovany about, with all this COVID going on and everything that's happening, how it's affecting him. But before we get into that, and I told Jovany this from the beginning, this is when I had Cody Rhodes when he was my producer, and we went down to go do a live broadcast at the Anaconda Academy. And I didn't believe in judo. I thought, well, man, if you're going to be an MMA fighter or whatever, you have to know your wrestling, because you got to get him to the ground. And then you got to know your jiu-jitsu, because you got to put the holds on him. And he was always like, well, I'm telling you, man, judo has, you get somebody up against that cage, you see what, like Garo Parisian used to do, or Ronda. And I'm like, yeah. So when we went, Jovany was working with the kids or whatever, doing that, a little like a seminar. So I had Monster Varela working with me, who was Marvin, and right now I'm about maybe 280, but back then I was 310 pounds. If you look at the pictures, I was like 310 pounds, and I was going, I hope I don't hurt Marvin, because he's gonna dig those hips in, and I'm gonna fall on him, and he ain't gonna be able to pick me up, man. And then you brought I can't remember the name of the smaller guy that you brought. He was the guy with the blue gi. Do you remember, Jovany?
Yeah, Alex.
And Marvin goes, I'm gonna have this dude, and I'm like, what are you? I am gonna kill this dude. And man, that dude dug the hip. When he dug the hips in, like, because he grabbed the back of my belt and he dug his hips in, and I was literally up off my feet and could do nothing. And the next thing I know, boom, bácatela si se acabó. So ever since that day,
Alex is part of the Honduran national team, so he has a lot of experience. A really good guy.
But see, this is why they do it, because you think, well, that this guy's smaller, he's gonna be, and I mean, once they dig those hips in and there's nothing, you were literally just preparing yourself to go over. And so then, Marvin showed me the techniques and stuff like that. And then we had Jovany come and show some techniques on the ground to work. And it went over really well. I mean, with the other show, a lot of people emailing and all, stuff like that. So it really, really took judo to another level and made believers not only of me, but of everybody else. So with that being said, when I first met Jovany, he had a small studio in Bellflower, and then when he moved over to the Anaconda Academy, which is in Gardena now, I'm like, man, it is huge, and it's got weights, and everything was going good. People were coming, big judo seminars with Olympic athletes and everything, and then just as everything was catching fire, this whole COVID hits. So now, are you actually back training at the gym? Is it to a smaller capacity, or how's it going right now at the Anaconda Academy?
We open again June the 1st, but we open for existing members only. We're not accepting new members at this time. And we limited the classes, to no more than 6 students per class. We're trying to do the, social distancing. Also, checking temperature as they come in. We have a special bucket to clean their shoes as they come in, then clean their feet as they come into the tatami. We're trying to do as much as possible, but it's hard to stay close. To keep your academy closed, not only for the financial part, but also for the need of your body to train. I mean, I've been training all my life, and all of a sudden stay off the tatami for 3 months. It's very hard. I feel that I was being unfaithful.
Yeah, but before that, Jovany was, in tip-top shape. When we went to go check out the seminar, I was looking, I was going, man, this guy is in shape. He must be serious. And then when we talked to you before, when I was on the other show, you were saying, I went to go compete, and I ended up competing against, some younger guys or whatever. But man, I was still doing damage, and almost, I forget what you told me, went all the way to the finals,
Yeah, and I got disqualified with 30 seconds left, because
Right.
the rules have changed in Sambo nowadays, But, I mean, I made history because for the very first time in the Sambo World Championship, father and son competing in the same event, in the same World Championship, and, at my age, I had to fight a guy that was 23 years old, I mean, I have kids that are 15 years older than him,
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. But when you say that, this is what I'm talking about, because when saying, like, I didn't believe in judo, but when we had Marvin on, he was showing me the video of when he was competing, and it was jiu-jitsu in the gi, and the guy would go to shoot a single leg. So most of the time the guys might sprawl or whatever, but instead he dug his foot in and grabbed the guy by his belt, and boom, same thing, just took him right over. And the guy, you can see the guy.
That's the Uchimata, that's his trademark.
Yeah, and the guy was like, no, he's not going to do that again. Same thing, shot the leg, and Marvin just, boom, took him over. And then the guy got mad. And he completely lost his mind.
That all comes, Fabi, that all comes from Hayate, that Gokor Judo, our Judo, it's good. You mentioned, Caro Parisian, Ronda Rousey, Mabel Gamburian, all of those guys, we come from the same source, from Gokor and from Jean Lebel,
Yeah, and it's not only that, but you see how it works. It actually works with the, because I was like, and then bam, he took him over, and then the guy got upset. He really got mad and threw his whole game off, and Marvin ended up beating him. So that's what I'm talking about, as well as that and the family atmosphere. Like, Nicolette, my daughter, she's in her 20s, and when she started training for pro wrestling, and we were training jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, I always worry, but I was with her. But because some, I mean, nothing for nothing, but I've been to a few jiu-jitsu studios where they've been, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like, like they're all, monsters, for lack of a better term, not monster for but look at me, and I walked right out. I said, you know what, these guys are on a different thing. But you go to the Anaconda Academy, and you could tell it's a family atmosphere simply for the fact that we went down, and Marvin said, look, this is my daughter, and she was like tossing that dummy. And how old is that one, the youngest one?
The youngest one, the time that you came was 4.
4 years old, Nicolette. And she
was
4 years old.
Yeah, and she's the same one that we met at the studio, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, because Miguel and I were sitting next to each other, and he was like, are your friends at school scared of you? Because she's not messing with anybody on the playground, yeah.
Yeah, and then she showed us pictures, and there were so many trophies in her room, and I'm like, well, you're going to have to get another room or whatever, because then she goes, yeah, well, it's what we do. It's what we do. We like to do. So they were really, that's what I'm trying to stress, is that it's a family atmosphere.
So that year that you met her, she ended up going to the Sport Jiu-Jitsu International Federation, the Kids World Championship, and in the final, she ended up fighting a boy, and she beat the boy really bad, and the kid tells her after the fight, my dad and I were watching your videos on YouTube last night, so they were studying her. So what Marvin did, he went and put all the videos about her private,
Yeah,
they were already studying her,
Yeah, it was, but it's there. I've been down there and just seen what a family atmosphere it is, and if you want to go down, and I highly recommend that you go down and check out the Anaconda Academy. Unfortunately, right now, with the COVID and everything, but hopefully, I'm hoping, Jovany, I don't know about you, but I hear there might be like a second wave coming, and we might have to shut down again or whatever. So I'm hoping, and I'm praying that it doesn't happen and we can keep going. But
what? Let me tell you something. I've seen so many friends shutting down academies. Many of my friends, not only here in the United States, but also other countries. Mexico, Central America. They're shutting down their academies for good. Because they can't stay in business, paying rent, and having no students. But something that I guarantee my students, Anaconda Academy, we're not closing, we're staying. Because at the end of the day, I teach martial arts because I love to teach and I love the martial arts. But my real daytime job, I'm a hardware engineer, so I own computer stores in Southern California. That's what I make my living with, And now that there's no school, everybody's doing classes online. So my computer business has gone like boom, like 300% more, So that covers the Anaconda Academy. For sure, we're here to stay,
Yeah, well, that's good, and the students, they know, and they're going to keep coming back, and plus, even with me, with word of mouth, that's the Judo Academy I recommend. I'm like, hey man, if you got kids, and where should I go? Go there. It's funny because we got a guy from at my job. He just came over from USC hospital. And we were talking, and he goes, "Yeah, I would like to get my kids in a class." And I go, "Where do you live?" And he goes, "Oh, I live in Gardena." I go, "Perfect, dude. You got to go see Jovany." Unfortunately, again, the COVID is killing us right now. But I'm like, "Hey, man, that's where you got to go."
Know.
I highly recommend. So we appreciate it, man. I mean, it kind of sucks that this is what's happening right now, but I'm hoping and I'm praying that it's going to pass, and we can get back to normal because I miss it too, man. I haven't been able to go do no live shows.
Once we get back to normal, I want to make sure you guys come and visit, and welcome you there, and let's do a program from there, and have fun,
Yeah, well, luckily.
Take me, Bobby.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'll take Nicolette. I had Cody with me last time, and let me tell you something. We did a live broadcast from the horchateria in Downey, and they had Nicolette explained it. It was like the churros with the big ice cream.
Yeah, if you're like a dairy, stay away from there. There's just ice cream and syrup and chocolate drizzle and more. Yeah.
But Cody Rhodes did damage over there. I mean, he had concha bread, he had churros, he had ice cream, he had coffee. So when they have he was waiting too. He said, "Man, I can't wait till they have another barbecue because I'm going to go down." But unfortunately, he moved to Arizona, so I got Nicolette with me. So hopefully, I can eat her share as well as mine, and we could do some damage over there. But like I said, it's a family atmosphere. Yeah,
definitely. But for sure, once we get back to normal, I'm planning to do a barbecue. What I call a super training barbecue. So everybody comes and train, have barbecue. So be together as a family. And I'll be very glad and happy to see you guys there.
Absolutely.
Can I take a picture by your Hummer for my Instagram?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Can I take a picture by your Hummer for my Instagram?
Of course you can, but the license plate will say Jovany, so.
Okay. I'll blur it out.
It's okay. We're good to go. But anyways, for the people listening to us, check out Anaconda Academy. If you want to follow Jovany, just put Jovany Varela in your little search engine. I highly recommend too that you put Monster Varela and check him out because they keep everybody up to date. And you talk about parties, they had like a family. It looked like a family reunion or something, and I saw so much food, and I saw people who had shirts on that said dad and shirts that said kids, and I was like, man, I want to go. That's where I want to be. Whatever. So make sure you follow him on all the social media. Hey, Jovany, a million thank yous for coming on. Hey, when as soon as just like coming over to this new show, first person I want to get in is Jovany because he practices what he preaches and make sure that it's a good family atmosphere. So hopefully we'll see you pretty soon. Okay, my friend.
Of course, anytime, and thanks to both of you guys for having me. And as always, great talking to you, and hope to see you soon.
Cool.
Absolutely, and
stay safe.
Yeah, you are welcome anytime. So for the people listeners, make sure you check out Jovany.com and Jovany Varela at the Anaconda Academy. All right, we'll be right back after this. Jovany Varela, everybody, make sure you check him out.
Thank you, guys.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis. With attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo.
I don't know what's up with the Lucha masks commercial. But somebody leaning on me. So for the people listening, I got the lucha-masks.com. If you want to check them out, they got the Black Taurus mask, or I don't know if you can call them Black Taurus, anyway, Taurus or whatever. And they got I think they still have a limited supply of the Lucha Brothers or whatever. So they got a Conan mask now or whatever. So make sure you check it out. So to Kevin or Greg DeMarco, I don't know what's happening with my Lucha mask, but I put it on and can't hear nothing. So lucha-mask.com. Make sure you check it out. All right. We got about maybe 20, 25 minutes left in the broadcast. If you want to call in It's area code 323-870-3387. We're going to talk a little AEW. Going to talk a little bit about the NXT. It's kind of reminding me of the Monday Night Wars. So if you want to call in and give your opinion on that, we're more than happy to. And if you call in and give us your opinion, we might have a little giveaway for you. Nicolette, what are we going to give them?
So we can do either one King Favi shirt with the matching buttons. We can do one High Effin' Risk shirt with the buttons. We could do one High Risk shirt, which is of the three of us, me and the two boys. The two boys, if you guys do not know who they are, that is Simon Lotto and Steven Andrews, as seen on Being the Elite, episode 198, or a 1000% Knockout Nicolette t-shirt.
That's where they wrestled in the tennis court, you know?
That is correct.
It was pretty good. I hadn't been checking that out because I wait for the Wednesday show. But when Nicolette, see, I'm not computer savvy whatsoever, but she has the PS4 or whatever, so she could put it up on the big screen. So when I checked it out, I was like, hey, that was pretty cool. They had some because they wrestled the Young Bucks and then they wrestled SoCal Uncensored on there, and it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool. But Nicolette,
and let's not forget that I managed them at Compton Mania 3.
And let's not forget that you speared. Did you spear Manny Mars or who was that?
Daniel Torch.
Daniel Torch. So for the people listening, I mean, I think I have it. I don't know if I put it up on my Facebook or whatever, but Nicolette speared Daniel Torch at the end, and then High Risk hit I don't know what it's almost like a neck breaker / inverted moonsault combination.
I believe that it's the Shooting Star Press.
Shooting Star Press. Look at you. That's pretty good.
Thank you.
The crowd went nuts. They popped big time. I mean, it was probably maybe, I would say, between 30 and 40 paid, but I mean, they went nuts. And they couldn't stop talking about it. We were waiting for the Uber, and they were still talking about how awesome that move was. But, Nicolette, I got to tell you, man, AEW, God bless them, because they're trying. But when there's no crowd, it's such a big difference. They're showing the reruns of SummerSlam on the Fox Sports Network, and it is freaking packed. I mean, there's got to be, 20, 30,000 people, and they showed Cena against AJ Styles. And even though that's a big clash in styles, for lack of a better term, the place was just so electric. And it's funny because Kevin Steen always says whatever his name is now, says, Kevin Owens, he goes, man, when I first wrestled John Cena, he goes, I was in the ring, and when he came out, even though they were chanting John Cena sucks, he goes, it was so loud that I actually sat there and thought, man, this is crazy. This is like something I've never heard or seen before. So now with this COVID, you got and I don't know, is it me, Nicolette, or do they not know how to work a crowd? Like, not that there's a crowd there, but just to work and do some sort of entertaining stuff instead of move. And to be honest with you, the only person who's been entertaining to me has been Marco Stunt, because he's so small. You just want to see, is he going to get crushed? Is he going to get out of it?
Flying, like launching, I know.
Exactly. It's like when Ultra Tarro used to wrestle in Revolution Pro. He was about the same size, and he just used to get tossed like a salad. But I mean, is it me?
Well, to me, Fabi, I know how you're saying, like, do they not know how to work a crowd? But I feel though, like, I know that, like, you and I have very different views on wrestling. For people who don't know, Fabi and I will go to a show, and Fabi's like, oh my goodness, this is just move. He's like, I want to see like a storyline. And for me, I'm entertained the whole time. And then when I see people too that are doing like hardcore matches and they're like taking out like thumbtacks from the bottom of the ring, the ladder's coming out, I'm like, oh cool, like I paid my $25, I got my 25 worth. And he's like, man, like how many times are we going to see somebody razor blade themselves? How many times are we going to see, like, these people are going to kill themselves just for, the $25 you paid. But it's like, I want to see the death match. I don't want to wrestle the death match, but I want to see it, So we have different views on that.
Yeah, but like we talk about, there's a time and a place for it. Like when they had the no holds barred match with Jacob Fatu, and he wrestled that dude from New York, the guy who came with the Homicide. I can't remember his name, but they fought all over the place, and I'm like, I'm not walking over there. I mean, I had the flu or something, I can't remember. I said, I'm not walking over there. So when they finally came back to the ring, Jacob Fatu took the tool. I don't know if he couldn't find a table or what, but he took the toolbox to set the ring up from the bottom and spread the tools out on the canvas. And he slammed the dude. I can't remember his name. He's a guy from New York that was managing the what's his name? Homicide or whatever. But he slammed him
Isn't it? It's not Eddie. It's not Eddie, right?
Eddie something was his name.
Yeah.
I can't remember. But Jacob Fatu slammed him on the tools. And then he went up for the moonsault, and the guy moved. But Jacob Fatu just hit all stomach on those tools. Yeah. And there was like nuts and bolts and hammers and all kinds.
A screwdriver. Yeah.
So I had to stand up and applaud that man because, I mean, he took a hell of a bump. So there is a spot for it. And once they got it to the ring, I was highly entertained. I mean, that match really set it off. But the match that made me actually get up out of my seat when I had the flute and throw. First of all, I couldn't even reach the ring because I was so sick. I gave it to the lady in front of me so she could throw it in the ring. Was when Daga wrestled what's his name, Jessica from Santino's. Jake Atlas. And you talk about a dance partner. Those dudes put on a show. I would easily say that was match of the year because Daga was the perfect dance partner for him because they got down, and not just me, everybody was throwing money in that ring. That was a hell of a show. And I don't want to say it was moves because Daga has a little bit more of an when you see Daga at a house show instead of being on camera, he's a little more loose, and he did quite a bit more. But they put on the show. So those two matches for that show, I agree with you. That was a hell of a show. But other than that, I mean, we even started to leave when Mil Muertes was wrestling Savio Vega, you know?
We did. And, you know, when I've seen Joseph say this before on his Facebook, and he says it's so important to do promos before a show. A lot of people run a show, and they're just like, this person's wrestling this person, this is a championship match, and there's no promo, to go with it. I had watched the promo that week at work, and it was the guy that wrestled Fatu. And he just said, and I'm going to blank you up. I don't know if you can curse on this show. I'm going to blank you up and blank you and blank. And you know what? Blank you. And I'm like, okay.
And blank California.
Yeah. And then I see like snot rockets and like middle fingers. And I'm like,
yeah.
Bobby, I'm like, I want to go to that show. And Joseph had told me before because he had came on another show that Bobby was doing. And he said, if you ever want tickets, Nicolette, just let me know. Just message me and, I'll hook it up. And I was like, can I go to that show? And he was like, yeah, sure. And when Bobby and I got there, he had actually put us in the second row.
Yeah.
And so we were super close. But Bobby and I don't drink, even though we're not driving, we don't drink. And people were behind us so loud, screaming. And
Hammered.
I always tell Bobby, like, hey, I'll get food, And I said, if you want a taco, you got to wait till we get out of here because PCW had so many people in that venue. I mean, It was clearly a time where coronavirus was not around because there was so many. I'm like, I'm not getting up out of my seat. Bobby bought me like a couple of things on the merch table, and I'm like, sit in our seats, and we're going to leave when it's time to leave. But that show was so good from beginning to end. It's definitely not a family atmosphere because there is so much cursing. There is so much hardcore, but it was a great show. I would love to go. Again, I would definitely pay. I don't know if I would pay for those $100 seats that Joseph gave, but I would pay to go see it again. So, thank you again, Joseph. Very amazing show.
Yeah, and I say this all the time. If I'm going to spend my hard-earned money, I want to see a show. And honestly, the two shows that we went to, because PCW, when they did Young Guns, was here in Long Beach, which was literally down the street from where we live. So we took an Uber, and we paid to go check it out. And we saw Chris Bay. We saw... who else did we see over there? Hammerstone, Adrian Quest, and they had
Dominic
some
Kruger
slamming merch. Yeah, it was. And then it was Brody King and Joseph versus Hoss Hogg and Jesse James. And man, that was They busted up two merch tables, and as Hoss Hogg had, I think he had Brody King up and was going to put him through the table. He actually apologized to Brody King because he put him through his own merch table. Whatever. So it was cool because it was the Young Guns were a lot of young guys that were doing a lot of high flying moves, back and forth and everything. And then they ended it with that match that was just really crazy and all over the place, and everybody went home happy. So I would definitely.
So here's another quick crazy story. So that venue was at a bar, and so I don't know how, but these people came in, and I'm not sure if they were homeless or what, but they brought in a jug of water and a pizza, like a $5 pizza, and they were sitting in the front. But like Fabi said, it was standing room only, and so Fabi and I were standing, and people started coming more and more, and eventually there was a time where I couldn't even see over people, but I couldn't tell people excuse me, can you move out the way so I could see? They'd been like, no, we're trying to see the show too. So even at that time, Tyler Bateman was even in front of me. I'm not going to tell Tyler Bateman, excuse me, can you move? He's going to be like, no, So, Biggie Biggs came and he got Fabi, and he's like, Fabi, you come to VIP. And it's so funny because people think Nicolette's hot, she'll get to go to VIP. Nope, Fabi went to VIP. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, I'll see you over there in a little bit. But there was no chair for me.
I just went because I was handicapped.
Yeah. So he got to go over there. So I'm like waving to him. I'm like, I'm fine, whatever. So then like the main event comes on, and it's Joseph and it's Brody King, and it's them against Hawk Hog, and Joseph picks up that guy's water jug and throws it at him. There's water flying. They're breaking tables, and I'm trying to put Fabi in front of me because the match got so out of control. I'm like, I can't get hit, and then I'm trying to like record on my phone. I have to put my phone back in my pocket because I'm like, I can't get my phone broken either. But that's how hardcore these matches get, and they're entertaining. Like, yes, I would go back any minute, but they're just so crazy. But you get what you pay for. As soon as they drop the tickets, I bought 2 of them online, and I told Fabi I'm gonna buy you a T-shirt to wear over there.
But the funniest part was, I did, and then we bought a lot of merch because they had bags and all kinds of stuff. But the funniest part was Biggie Biggs was working security, and when it got crazy and Joseph hit somebody with the water jug and pizza was flying, he turns to me, Biggie Biggs, he takes his glasses off and he hands them to me. This is the only pair of glasses I have. Don't let nobody break these. And he went to go get the people back or whatever. So that was freaking hilarious. So that brings me all the way back to fan participation. You know, when there's nobody there, it's a different story. Now, I don't particularly care for WWE, and I'll talk about that later. But NXT, I was starting to get into because they were doing, you know, they the up and coming talent. And then when they had El Hijo del Fantasma come, I said, yes, you know, I want to watch it. But, you know, with no audience, no crowd participation, it's kind of hard to watch, man, even though, God bless them, they're good workers, you know, and they're putting on a show. It's just so different. So, you know, I'm kind of bored now.
And then it's kind of like there's so much plexiglass. I can't even see the people cheering that are the workers. Yeah. I can't even see. I'm like, is that Shotzi? Is that it? Oh, I can't see. Yeah, there's so much plexiglass.
Yeah, there's like a glare or whatever in between the plexiglass. But, I mean, God bless them. They're trying their hardest, but it's just not the same. It's just not. Now, AEW, it looks like it's almost like the Monday Night Wars because AEW's it's like a pay-per-view type of feel. And then, of course, NXT had the Great American Bash or whatever, which was whack, in my opinion. But I was looking forward to seeing Brian Cage wrestle against Jon Moxley for the belt.
Oh, yeah.
So before we talk about that, for the people listening to us, we went to San Diego. When we went to the Lucha Expo, the second day was when they have all, like Wagner was there, Brian Cage, Taya, Johnny Morrison, everybody was there for that last night. So we had finished off doing the show and everything like that.
And we Ubered there again.
Yeah, we went to the hotel and we took an Uber back because there was no parking. It was so crowded. So we just went back to go watch the matches. So we ended up we were sitting probably like in about the third or fourth row, but I was right there by the entrance where the wrestlers were coming out of. So Brian Cage comes out. What do you call it? TV does that dude no justice. I mean, that's a big dude. So I don't know what happened, but there's always some knucklehead who's drunk and decides they want to. Why he picked Brian Cage, I don't know. But he I don't know what happened to start it, but he kind of left him alone, right? Brian Cage, I could tell him, he's like, yeah, get out of here. Like, go away, kid. You bother me, whatever.
He kind of started something with him during the ring entrance, right?
Right, yeah. Right. And then he came around, the knucklehead came around to his corner, which was right on the other side of the stage where they came out. I was on the left side, and the guy came around to the right side and went after. I don't know what he was trying to get over the barricade. Well, first of all, everybody was trying to split those barricades, but they were locked in. Even Jacob Fatu and them couldn't get him apart. I don't know what he said, but Brian Cage took off. It looked like those bulls. You know when they do the pro bull riding and they're going in the gate? That's what it looked like.
And then remember, Bobby, we saw like nuts and screws just flopping around like they just busted.
He just split the barricades and got a hold of that dude. So I was probably 2-3 months after having hip surgery, and I tried to get over the stage to go help him, but by the time I got over the stage, everybody had already passed me. And it was a big crowd there. So I'm trying to grab somebody. I don't know. I could see Brian Cage heading back to the ring, but I was trying to grab somebody. So finally, when the security got a hold of the dude, I kind of got up close, and I'm telling the dude, what is wrong with you? I go, do you want to die? And he's like, no, I'm going to kick his ass, and I'm going to do it. So finally, they got him out of there, and luckily, they saved him because Brian Cage would have killed that dude, and almost did. Luckily,
and so,
everybody jumped
backing
in.
up the story a little bit too, there was a somebody selling merch that I've seen this guy before down at Baja Stars, and I don't know if you know his name, Fabi, but he sells the mascaras, and he has them like on this like big piece of like yarn or like string, and then you tell him what you want. He kind of like flips it. Okay, so this time when we saw him, he was selling purses, and so I went down there, and Fabio brought my mom, and so my mom went down there with me, and I was kind of looking at the purses, and he had everybody. He had El Santo purse, he had Blue Demon, he had Wagner, right? And so I said, oh, how much are these purses? And he said, oh, mija, for you, 25. And I said, okay, I said, I'll take one. So I got an El Santo purse, and I came back upstairs to Fabi's booth upstairs, and Fabi said, you bought one of those purses? And he said, I'm going to go down there and go get one. And I said, okay. And I thought he was just going to, like, look at them. So he went down there, and I see Fabi downstairs, and this dude has a Blue Demon purse on. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I wish somebody would tell me something. I said, oh, my gosh, you're wearing that purse? And he had all
and I had it over my shoulder.
Yeah. So the night when that guy decided to start something with Brian Cage, I said, oh, crap. I got up, and I ran with one of my friends, and I tried grabbing all of Fabi's purse and my purse, and I ran the other way, and Fabi went that way. The way that the fight went, I went the opposite way. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to have any part of that. But Fabi went one way, I went the other way. But it was just so crazy. It got out of control. They tried to start stuff with Melissa Santos. I mean, he handled it amazing. So, but, I mean, at least it got under control. That's good.
Well, I had my mics, my recording mics in the, for lack of a better term, purse. I called it like a shoulder bag or whatever.
Yeah, they're very small.
I'll post it up so you can check it out. But, you know, when stuff like that happens, you just take off running. So I didn't, I forgot I had left it or whatever. Luckily you were with me and were able to get it. But that was, so anyways, the night finishes, everybody leaves, and I'm getting ready to take off. And I see TJ Perkins. And I tell Jessica, I go, oh, I know TJ. I go, he worked for me a couple times back in the day. And everybody around me said, oh, you don't know that dude or whatever. And I said, no. So I went over there. I said, I'm gonna go say hi. So I walked over there, and he sees me. And as soon as he goes, what's up, man? He goes, oh my God, I can't believe this. He tells Nicolette, you know how many times I worked for this guy? You know, and I was like so happy that he remembered me. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you know, we're talking. And then he goes, let me get a picture with you, dude, because I got to show Samoa Joe. He's not going to believe that I ran into you. And I was like, all right. I was like a little kid, Nicolette, when I...
Yeah, well, he kind of even like...
I don't want to say marked out,
but... line. He even kind of like stopped the line. There was like a whole line of people waiting, and he was like, hey, Fabi. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're cutting the line. And then he was like, yeah, let me get a picture of you with Joe. And he like handed me his phone. He was like, here, can you take a picture of me to send Jen? I was like, sure, yeah. I was like, can I get a picture with you too? He's like, yeah, of course. But I need a picture with Fabi first. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he worked for me twice back in the day when he was first, starting to come up, and worked for me in Torrance, and then we did another show with Joe Schmo, and I'm like, this kid's got something, man. He's a hard worker and all that. So and 9 times out of 10 they forget, but he was like, yeah, bro, get over here and all that. So that was really cool. I mean, that kind of set off the night. So just to wrap it all up, we brought it all back to the Lucha Expo. I'm telling you, man, if we talk about spending your money, your hard-earned money, and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, you got to go check it out. It's hard for me to explain. First of all, there's so much merch. You got to take cash. I mean, some of the guys take a credit card or whatever. But I mean, I probably came home with about $1.16 in my pocket after everything was over.
I know. Fabi, speaking of that really quick, I'm going to tell my story. I know you have to get out of here at what time, 8:25?
Go for it. Yeah, we got 8 minutes.
Okay, I can do it in 1. Okay, so Kevin, if you are listening, you can take this money out of Fabi's WrestleBoss paycheck, okay? Because I don't got $20 because I have no unemployment. Okay, that's a different story. But you can take the amount of money out there. Downstairs, because we were upstairs again. Downstairs, we hear like this crowd like clapping, and all these people are walking in, and I tell my mom, oh, that's Tessa Blanchard and Daga. They're here, and I said, I want to go downstairs, and I want to get a picture with them, right? And Mom was like, that line's really long, and I'm like, yeah, we'll wait till it dies down. It's gonna die down because they got to start a match, right? And she says, okay. So line keeps building, right? So maybe like 40 minutes later, we go down there, and speaking of like spending all your money, 3 guys are in front of me, and they have like stacks of pictures, right? Well, I think one of the guys in the group had 8 pictures, and I think it was about $10 for Tessa to sign each of them. Yes. So that's $80 right there. Well, I hear the people in line behind me, and they're like, come on, dude, are you serious? And I'm like, oh, somebody's going to start a fight, or, and I'm like, I just want to get my picture, right? But I wasn't complaining. I wasn't saying anything, right? And then so Daga's kind of like just sitting there because they were 3 guys, so they just wanted to meet Tessa. They didn't want to, like, talk to him. So Daga stands up because he hears everybody complaining, and he like waves me over, and I go over there, and then he says something in Spanish, and I don't know what he said, and then I just kind of like put my arm around him, and then like I looked at the camera and I smiled and I walked away, and then I told Mom, I'm not sure if they were charging for photos or what, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, I don't know what he said, but like I just wanted a picture with him, and I left. But I heard that some of the Lucha Expos or some of the tickets that you bought, some people were charging for photos, and they tried to like stop that issue for this one in San Diego. So I don't think he was charging, but I'm not sure.
Well, regardless, the three dudes in front of us had to spend, I would say, a minimum of $300 because everybody wanted pictures signed. They all wanted pictures with her. I don't know if Daga was charging or not. I remember seeing, because I was up above, I was still upstairs. I saw you take the picture, and he said something, and then he waved to him and walked away. So Daga, if it was $10, I threw $3, I think, in the ring when you wrestled Jake Atlas. So split that $150. So we owe you like $850 or whatever. So when we see you, we'll make sure you get paid. But hey, bottom line is the Lucha Expo was slammed, and I highly recommend it too. And especially if they're not going to have it till June of 2021, that gives them so much more time to put more stuff together. You know, what I like is how they mix the older luchadores like Pirata Morgan and all them against some of the newer guys. And I mean, it is just awesome. It is awesome to see. So you definitely have to check it out. But well, Nicolette, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry, we had a couple of people call, and I think some of them, 2 people called and then hung right up. So I don't know what's up with that.
Oh, no, maybe they thought it was the wrong number. Okay, well, you know what? Everything is posted on my Instagram. I'm sure that it's on yours. I am at Nicolette by Nature. Favi is Favi Chulo _. Is that you, or are you Favi _Chulo? It's
Favi _Chulo on Twitter, and then everything else is just Favi Chulo. So make sure you check it out. So I'll tell you what, we'll work on doing another live broadcast, maybe from Jovany's or something like that, and we'll take some merch there, and we'll give a couple away out there. How's that?
Okay, and code word, if anybody wants to go ahead and DM myself or Favi, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we'll go ahead and do the code word high risk, high reward. And if you send that, we'll go ahead and mail a shirt out to you of your choice. Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Hey, High Risk and them are booked on a show that I'm working on, so hopefully this COVID stuff passes and we can get this independent wrestling going, man. Because I think the world, not only just us, but the world needs some independent wrestling in their life. So with all that being said, a million thank yous to 1000% Knockout Nicolette. Make sure you check her out on all her social media. Hey, giving away stuff, all kinds of stuff going on. Don't forget to check out Lucha Central, iTunes, Spotify, all that. Make sure you check it out. Big thanks to Jovany Varela for coming on and talking some judo. And of course, DJ VOZ talking about, doing some big things out there in Arizona. Got to go check him out. So with all that being said, we'll see everybody right back here next Tuesday. Make sure you check us out. Nicolette, I'll see you soon. Thank you.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.